Hi everyone, I'm Michelle Kelly. Welcome to Be in the Change. I'm going to get started by reciting my inspiration. Our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, which most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people will not feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just in some of us, it is in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give others permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Marianne Williamson. I'd like to say welcome to everybody who's watching me for the first time, and welcome back, and thank you to everybody who's been following me on this journey that I started in 2019, stating that I was breaking up with fear, I was breaking up with shame, and I was breaking up with guilt, followed by a weekly video every week for an entire year, telling you guys how fear, shame, and guilt was not breaking up with me as easily as I thought it was going to be. And then 2020 was to be kinder and more compassionate to myself and still doing the videos. And then 2021 was to break up with processed sugar, which I'm still broken up with the processed sugar, but it hasn't been consistent. And then 2021 or 2022, I'm getting my years mixed up. 2022 is to find out what it is that I actually do. And I know what I do, but putting it all together has been really hard for me. So I'm actually, you guys who have been watching me, this is my YouTube room for my YouTube channel that I have This Is Your Sign by Michelle Kelly. And then I have Be in the Change, Michelle Kelly, and I'm deciding now to incorporate all of it together because I was talking about that last week, about my words matching my actions and coming together. And I always wanted everybody to do what they say. And I didn't realize how I wasn't able to do that either. So I've been sharing about, I always wanted other people to tell me like what to do. Tell me what to do. Tell me what to do. And then when people would tell me what to do, I'd be like, don't tell me what to do. But really, what helps and works the best for me is not telling me what to do, but telling me what you do. And what I do is I read people. I can read people. I can hear in the inflection of their voice where they are on their journey. I can just tell. I can see what's underneath. I know where every single person is. And it's also one of the reasons why I know it is because I was there too. And I worked through it and I healed from it, and I'm still healing from it. I am not perfect. And the hardest person to read is myself. So the more I put myself out there, the more other people are able to read me. And what I've learned through this process is I am not above or below anyone. I am equal to. And it's a great place to be. But when I come across people who think they're superior, people who act like they're superior, a lot of times when people act like they're superior, they actually feel the opposite. And because I no longer subscribe to that, people who act like they're superior, they don't like me. And because I trigger people, I trigger what's not right about you, and not intentionally, just my presence is doing that. So when I do best and what makes me feel the best is when you tell me about yourself. and how you're healing and what you do. And, every day, I was talking last week about going line dancing and how that's my favorite thing to do. And I get to do it during the day at the YMCA. And there's 2 different YMCAs that have it. And the one that I go to on Monday and Thursday, it's probably like 35 minutes away each way. So it's kind of far. And, I went on Tuesday and I got to we had kind of like a dance recital in the middle of the Y's lobby, and it was great, and I was able to do it. I was supposed to do it with the other Y last week, and I couldn't go. I didn't feel good. My body didn't feel good, and even though I love it, I wasn't able to do it. So I've been talking about honoring myself, listening to myself, and it's very hard. And one of the things that I am training myself to do is, if I wouldn't send my child there, or I wouldn't send my animal there, or I would buy this for my son, or I wouldn't buy this for my son, then I need to do it for myself, which is really hard. It's so much easier to tell you what to do, to tell you what to buy, to tell you how to do it. But really, the hardest thing is to tell you what I do. So what I do, and I was talking about recovery last week, I am in 3 12-step programs. And I go to at least 2 meetings a day. And I talk about what is going on with me. And for the longest time, I couldn't talk. And one of the reasons why I couldn't talk was I grew up in a house, and I think you're either one way or the other. I grew up in a house, and somehow my assessment was I was never going to get my way, so why bother? So I stopped trying. Or if I did try and one thing went wrong, I would stop and take it as a sign, I'm not meant to do this. And then I think there were other members in my family that thought the only way they were going to get their way is if they made it frickin' happen. So of course, because I felt like I was never going to get my way, so why bother? I was attracted to people who the only way they were going to get their way was to make it frickin' happen. So what I know now is that we need to come together. And all the people who never thought they were going to get their way need to come together with all the people who thought the only way they were going to get their way was to take it and make it freaking happen and merge together. Because I am now ready to step up. I am now able to realize that I'm supposed to try anyway. I'm not responsible for what happens as a result of it, but I'm meant to try. And the only way to try is to get up and every single day keep showing up for myself, which it was really hard to do at first, and it gets easier. And, last week I was saying one of the reasons why I didn't want to speak out and was told not to speak out, because what if terrible shit happened and then people only saw that and say, see, that doesn't work. Look what she did. But you know what? There's more than the worst case scenario and the best case scenario. There's in the middle. And in the middle is really messy. It's really messy. And it's okay to be messy. And it's okay not to be perfect. I haven't been perfect. I know nobody's perfect. I don't expect other people to be. Anybody who expects me to be, they're not really in my life anymore. I don't have those expectations on myself or others, which is a gift. And, everybody who tells me what to do, most of the time, they're not doing it. So really the people that I love to take advice from are people who are able to share what has happened to them and what they do. And I want to leave you guys with one story, because this is what I used to do. So I used to hide. And when I got married to my ex-husband, I didn't want my family to know. This is how I rolled. I didn't want my mom to find out. I didn't want my grandmother to find out. I didn't tell anybody his last name. They would find out anyway, by the way, because they did not stop. When I said no or stop, they kept going. And so the only way I knew how to stop that was to go away. And that's what I did. So I remember having a cousin, and she kept saying, you know, Grandma keeps asking, where you live? Where do you live? And I kept telling everybody else what to say. Tell her, why don't you ask Michelle? All my aunts, everybody would lie for me and say, I don't know where Michelle lives. I don't know her last name. And they knew. So I kept telling everyone else what their response should be. And I knew I was going to a party where my grandmother was going to be years and years later. And I'm giving everybody what to do, how to answer to her. So I go to this party and I practice. I practice before I go. If she says, Michelle, where do you live? I'm going to tell her, I don't feel comfortable telling you. So I get to this party. I even practice in the mirror, and I get there and she's like, where do you live? And out comes Royersford, which is where I live. And I practically called her an Uber. Like, I practically gave her my address. And what I realized then is everything that I tell everybody else to do, I wasn't even able to do it myself. It was so much easier to say, this should be your answer and that should be your answer. But when it came time to it, I couldn't even do it. But what I was able to do after that time that I gave her the address was I was able to laugh instead of beating the shit out of myself for thinking I should be good at this. I should be better at this. But what it took is practice. And why do I feel like every time somebody asks me a question that I have to tell them? Or, you know, I was on a walk today and I was thinking, when people ask me questions, and a lot of times people who live in a lot of fear just ask questions. What do you do during the day? Where do you live? And today, what came across my mind is, why are you asking? Why do you want to know? And put it back on them. And not as a fuck you, but just as a, why do you want to know? Or are you going to come visit me? Are you going to pay my bills? Oh, what do you do? How do you, you know, why are you asking? And so it took me only 32 years of sobriety to figure that one out, and only 9 years of ACA to figure out, I could say, why are you asking? So this is, I always say on my YouTube channel, this is your sign signing off. So I'm combining the two. So this is your sign signing off. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you guys all next week.